Welkom iedereen bij het webinar dat we vandaag organiseren met onze partner Augmentt. Mijn naam is Jessica en ik ben verantwoordelijk voor de marketing, communicatie en evenementen binnen Portland. Voor degenen die Portland niet kennen, al verwacht ik dat de mensen die we hebben uitgenodigd voor vandaag, dat die wel weten wie we zijn. We doen al meer dan 20 jaar de belofte aan MSP's om hen te helpen hun bedrijf zo efficiënt, productief en winstgevend mogelijk in te richten. En de juiste tooling is daarvoor cruciaal. En daar hebben wij dus een preselectie voor gemaakt, zodat jullie daar zelf niet over hoeven na te denken. En met grote regelmaat organiseren we ook evenementen specifiek voor MSP's rondom dit onderwerp. En tijdens ons laatste evenement, de Futures Hybrid, die wij 3 weken geleden hebben georganiseerd, hebben we onze nieuwste samenwerking met Augmentt aangekondigd. En dat is een product waar we zelf heel enthousiast over zijn, omdat wij denken dat het echt iets van waarde kan toevoegen voor jullie als MSP's. Maar ik zal zelf niet te veel ingaan op de inhoud, want daar hebben we dus 2 hele interessante sprekers van Augmentt zelf voor uitgenodigd. Het belangrijkste is dat tijdens dit evenement de reactie op Augmentt zo enthousiast was, zo positief, dat we dit vervolgwebinar hebben opgezet om dieper in te gaan op wat Augmentt is en wat het kan en hoe jij het kan toevoegen aan jouw dienstenpakket. En vandaag hebben we daarvoor aan het woord 2 veteranen uit het MSP-domein. De co-founder en chairman van Augmentt, Gavin Garbutt. En de director of sales, Marlene Mullowney, die jullie het hele SaaS-platform gaan laten zien in actie. En voordat ik het woord aan hun geef, één laatste ding. Mijn collega Martin is ook aanwezig en hij gaat de chat in de gaten houden gedurende deze hele sessie. Dus als je vragen hebt, stel die daarin en dan zorgt Martin dat die aan bod komen en dat jij je antwoord krijgt. So on that note, I will give a warm welcome to Gavin, who will start off the presentation.
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for having us today. Marlene, our director of sales, and I are really happy to be here and to have the opportunity to talk to you about hybrid IT, SaaS security, M365 security and management. This is a big area. I know for those of you who were at the Portland event a month or so ago, we talked a lot about this and we had great interest from the partners who attend. The vast majority have taken advantage of the 100 free licenses and are using the product, and a number have signed up. That's amazing. So we're really interested to talk with more MSPs and present how you can leverage technology to significantly increase your revenues in the security realm, and as well as really driving additional capacity in your technicians. So automating a lot of the services that they do, making it a lot easier so that you can really drive the capacity of your people, which will, of course, in turn, drive profitability into your business. So this is a slide we talked about a little bit about at the event, and the whole idea is software and security are the 2 fastest growing areas of IT, according to Gartner. So this is where the money train is. This is where the real growth opportunity is. Traditional network and system management is critical, but it is a non-growth area of IT at the time. So MSPs want to expand, they want to grow their businesses, and these are the areas that are really important. And we know about a month and a half ago, the report came out with the Dutch data protection authorities saying that that breaches and theft had gone up 88% in the last year alone. So, and this is very consistent with what we're seeing in Canada and the US and the rest of Europe, is that breaches and thefts are going up between 80 and 100% year over year. And we're seeing in North America, the related costs of cybersecurity insurance is also going up 100% year over year. And so these are really correlated effects. And so in the last, as we know, in the last 2-3 years with COVID, everybody working remote, and now people working in a hybrid environment, remote and at home, people have adopted cloud applications, SaaS applications at an unprecedented rate. And we all know that with our Microsoft 365 licenses, we're used to sell servers on premise. Now you're selling M365, a cloud-based application where you actually have to go in and do the configuration of the security policies, and you have to be monitoring and managing them on an ongoing basis. And the reality is that the tools have not been there for small and medium-sized businesses and the channels to be able to cost effectively manage these. At the enterprise level, for sure, there's companies like ServiceNow that does $6 billion a year in software sales annually, growing 32% year over year. The enterprise is taking this up. There's a number of those enterprise solutions, but no multi-tenant solutions until Augmentt came around to help the channel, help their customers monitor, manage, and secure SaaS and M365 usage. So this is a fantastic opportunity, much like 22 years ago when we started Enable, the first remote monitoring and management platform for the channel. And the big opportunity was for IT service providers to go from a chaotic and reactive service model to a proactive and then a managed. And that was a fantastic revenue and profit opportunity. The same thing is happening right now with SaaS security and SaaS management. So our goal is to help you, the channel, to really grow this new part of your business and to help your customers who have already adopted SaaS and need help to secure and manage all of these applications. And it's interesting, a little point, Gartner, saying that basically if the channel doesn't get involved in cloud services, they probably will be obsolete, or at the very best case scenario, they'll be stuck in the legacy industry of just the network side. And while the network will always be important and it will always be there, for the people who are working in the office, all of the people and all of the applications that are out in the cloud or in remote locations are needing to be managed and secured also. This is an interesting point, and it's one that I did bring up when we were at the event, but it's a really important one, that 89% of Microsoft accounts do not have MFA enabled. And I'm sure you're seeing your notices frequently from Microsoft saying enable MFA, enable MFA. Microsoft has literally 1.2 million breaches, successful breaches every month. And they say that 99% of them would not happen if MFA was enabled. This is the biggest singular thing that MSPs can do to help their customers. And that's by setting up the policies, monitoring the policies, and enforcing these policies. So this is just a big screaming red flag for all IT service providers as a very easy way to help customers be way more secure just by dealing with MFA as one first point area in the project. And if you think about it, if you ask your customers today, how many applications do they have running in their environment? Are these apps secure? Are they compliant? Do you have any duplicate apps? Do you have any unused apps? The reality is the customer probably couldn't tell you. And the crazy part is 34% of SaaS spend is wasted. And it's wasted on unused licenses, duplicate apps, unused applications. And so there's a real opportunity for the channel to help the customer, not just from a security and a compliance perspective, get their hands around shadow IT and all of those unapproved applications, but also to help them from a cost perspective, to do an audit, show them where they have these unused duplicate applications. For example, they may have 25 licenses of Salesforce in their environment, but they're only using 12 of them. And 2 of the people may only sign in once a month. Well, there's a great cost savings. They may have had Slack in as their primary communications tool, but you've got them on Microsoft and they're paying for Teams. There's an opportunity to help them save money. And there's all sorts of these types of situations. But really, almost more importantly than that, is where is the data going? Because employees are downloading applications to make their job easier, not for malicious intent per se. And your corporate data and your client's data is going into these applications. And when the employee leaves, the data leaves with them. So that's critical from a compliance and security perspective, that you help the customer understand what are the approved apps, and then making sure that the right people are using the right applications and the right data is going into the right places. So really great opportunity to be that trusted advisor and to go in and help your customers have a much more optimized and more secure cloud environment. So we've done a ton of surveys out to the channel, and the 4 key things that almost all MSPs say they want is they want to first grow, most importantly, grow their managed security services. They want to have an easier way to go and sell managed security services to new customers, because it's this is probably one of the biggest struggles. And through my 22 years with Enable and now Augmentt, I have worked with tens of thousands of MSPs, and sales is one of the areas where there is a lot of a desire to improve and expand, and we want to help MSPs with that. And then, of course, driving down the cost of delivering services. How do we make our technicians so much more productive? And the whole idea is going from a reactive to proactive to managed service model, which everybody has done so well at the network layer, but at the application layer, this is new, and we're starting that journey all over again. And we want to help the channel with that, with automation. And then to be that trusted advisor. So it's great to have a customer, and it's great to do great IT work, but to be able to go in and show the customers ways that they can optimize their IT, help them save costs, and really improve their corporate and employee productivity. Because the whole reason for cloud applications and software is to make sure the business is running, try to help the business be more competitive than their competitors, and make their employees as efficient and productive as possible. And that all happens now in the cloud, in SaaS applications. So it's important to understand, what's the stack, is it optimized? So when we think of this, what are the key multi-tenant tools that an MSP needs to manage a hybrid environment? So you need your remote monitoring and management, your RMM, so that you can audit, monitor, manage, and secure the network. And I think pretty much everybody on this call has a great RMM tool, whether it's ConnectWise or Enable or Kaseya or Dato, whatever it happens to be. I'm sure everybody has a fantastic, and they've perfected that. And again, I go back to the early days of Enable. Exactly 0 value-added resellers or IT service providers had an RMM tool, because it didn't exist in a multi-tenant fashion. And now 100% of the channel uses an RMM tool. The next thing is the exact same concept, an RMM tool to audit, monitor, manage M365 security policies. So as that has not been available to date. So the single tenant, go in one at a time, great, but nobody has the time to do that, to make sure that's happening. So now having a multi-tenant solution is available for the channel to really help them drive productivity and improve security.
Gavin, maybe a question in between to maybe touch on some stuff I've been hearing from a lot of people during the trials. As you were saying, of course, multi-tenant is a unique feature, and I think everybody is really excited about that. But of course, in your experience, it's also very important to integrate. And maybe you could shed a little light on the solutions you just mentioned, and how Augmentt is trying to connect with those, present tools in the market.
So you have your traditional RMM to do the network side. We integrate with that from a deployment perspective with whatever RMM tool you're happy to be using. And then you want to have tickets, as an example. So when somebody changes their policy, and Marlene will be going through this in great detail, you want to get a ticket that goes into your PSA so that your technician can then log the ticket, go into this multi-tenant platform and be able to fix things. So that applies for M365 security policies and also SaaS usage. So you want to be able to have a ticket that will go off when somebody downloads an application that is not approved or is on the unapproved list. So being able to tie into your PSA and your RMM solutions is absolutely critical. And so, and then to centralize the administration of, because again, you have, now you go into a Microsoft portal, there's a lot of security risks letting a junior person go in, and it takes time because you have to log in to each portal, log out, etc. To have a multi-tenant portal to do your Microsoft M365 administrative tasks, such as onboarding, offboarding, password changes, etc., is going to save you so much time, which will enable your technicians to manage so many more tickets per technician. And our systems, as Marlene will show, have made all of these, we built in the processes so you can have an administrative level person now do all of these tasks, or level 1 technician, and you can have your senior technicians off doing money generating activities. So really drive scale and profitability into your service organization. And then the last one, the RMM for actual SaaS usage, as we talked about also. So being able to understand the whole shadow IT, approved, unapproved apps, all of that kind of things in a holistic view, multi-tenant across all customers, is a new service that you can do today. Your competitors are not doing it, and you can show your customers where you can help them be more secure on their SaaS usage, optimize their SaaS stack, and help them save money on their licensing. So that is a role of a trusted advisor, and this is an opportunity for MSPs to go in and show this value and win new business. So I'll just quickly go through this slide, and so this is a question for all of you, and I'd like you to think about it as we go through. And if you feel a desire to put it in the chat, where you sit, either reactive, proactive, or managed in your M365 security policy management for your customers. But a reactive technician, a reactive MSP will sell the Microsoft 365 licenses. They'll set up the configuration for the customer, but they don't proactively monitor it, and they don't proactively enforce policies when things change. And that's why 89% of MFA accounts are not enabled today, because that is the rule out there. A proactive MSP will set up the policies when they sell the licenses. They'll monitor the policies, which means they literally would have to go in tenant by tenant by tenant by tenant, and make sure everything's okay. And then they block time once a month or whatever to go in and fix and administer those policies. And a managed MSP in a managed M365 security policy and posture management will actually sell the licenses, set them up, monitor them on a real-time basis, and then enforce them. Get the tickets, go into their PSA, technician gets it, they go in and they enforce it to make sure that the customer is optimally secure. And what happens is, as you do this, you can see the number of seats that a technician can manage goes up dramatically from reactive to proactive to managed. So I'm going to ask Marlene now to go through the product and why this is so important for managed service providers.
Again, my name is Marlene Mullowney. I'm the Director of Sales here at Augmentt. And I'm going to be walking through our 3 products. And I know Gavin has been talking about RMM in the most recent slide. And our solutions really complement what the majority of MSPs are doing today with, as we talked about, the enables, the ConnectWise, the Datto RMMs, the Kaseya RMMs. Really, we're building this RMM for SaaS applications and enabling MSPs to really augment their current services, but really get a foot in the door to help you start managing, being more proactive when it comes to SaaS applications. When it comes to SaaS applications, the number one vulnerable under threat application would be hands down M365. So Secure focuses on M365 security posture management. And what that really means is that, as you can see here, we've got 4 reports here on the left-hand side. The goal is MFA, as we've been talking about, is the number one thing an MSP can do to help protect and secure their customers' M365 tenants. But the reality is, with 20, 30, 50, 70 plus tenants that are spread out, you have to then log into that customer M365 portal, find out where the vulnerabilities are, what's their Microsoft score, and that's a very time-consuming effort. So what we've done and why we've built Secure is to really help consolidate all of that information. So essentially all of the threats, all of the vulnerabilities, where does your customer stand from a security perspective, into one dashboard. So again, this is multi-tenanted, and you'd be able to see all of your customers, all of the threats. And what we're also doing is, okay, so you have a threat, you have a vulnerability, you receive an alert maybe from Microsoft. What do? What are you supposed to do with that threat? And then how do you limit the amount of threats and vulnerabilities for that customer? MFA is one, but we also provide recommendations and best practices to help protect that customer environment even more. So the goal is help you consolidate into an easy to view report and dashboard, be able to provide that feedback to a customer prospect, but also take out the guesswork in what you need to do to move the needle when you see a 30% on their identity score. So the goal here with the threat report is to really pull all the threats and vulnerabilities, be able to show a customer, maybe you've already been talking to them about upgrading their Microsoft licenses, getting those P1s, being able to get more security related info for them. But also, as Gavin was mentioning, it's provide this feedback maybe to a prospect whose current MSP isn't providing them these insights. So these insights are very, very valuable because you can show them that, hey, within the past month, there have been 136 risks that we've detected. We've noticed these kind of logins that I'm sure, you know, if you're just based in the Netherlands, why are we seeing logins from China, from Russia, from Canada? And then it's pulling in the Microsoft score as well. And everything here below, if you see the top 5 risks, the accounts at risk, this is really supporting why the score is so low. So it's just providing further insight into their low score, maybe low security. And then we've got some reports here that you could present back to the customer and say, these are the recommendations to improve your score and improve your overall security. So think of the threat report as a customer-facing report, maybe a prospecting report, kind of that sales report to help illustrate why they need to upgrade their licenses, why they should be using their services, why they need to be looking at more security around that number one at-risk application, which is M365.
Marlene, maybe if I could just add, so the idea is that's exactly what the threat report is. It's a sales tool for you to do an audit. It takes about 10 minutes per tenant to set up, super easy, super fast, and you can show the customer or prospect exactly what's wrong within their environment and what needs to be fixed. And then you just say to them, Mr. Customer, here's all the problems. Our premium security services will allow us to fix all of these. Would you like us to take care of that? And if so, please sign this PO. And if they don't want to sign the PO, then great, you pull out a waiver saying, Mr. Customer, please sign this waiver, saying that you understand that your environment is not secure and that if something happened, it's not our fault. Of course, the customer is not going to want to sign that. And so it's about not making this a sales thing. It's you're showing them the problems, you're offering them a solution, and they have the choice to take it or not, but they're probably going to take it because they will see exactly what's wrong with their environment and who it's against. And this threat report for our partners is a freemium. It's unlimited free. You can go to 1 million prospects and run this report, show them the problems, and then upsell and cross-sell them your professional security services. So this is a really valuable report for you to go out and win new business, which was one of the 4 key things we discussed.
So the next report, so the threat report, again, would be more of that customer facing, whereas the MFA report, security posture, would be more for your internal purposes. So MFA, we've been talking about, I'm sure, Microsoft has been breathing down everybody's necks to make sure MFA is enabled for your customers. The reality is, it gets turned off, as Gavin was mentioning earlier. You enter that customer's network, you configure, best practices, policies as it relates to M365, and then what happens? Changes start to happen. You have to log in. You're maybe relying on a text word that MFA is enabled. But how do you have that single kind of that pane of glass everybody talks about, giving you insight into not only the license types, because the majority of customers we speak with, or MSPs, their customers have a mix of different licenses. How do you easily pull that info, and how do you trust that MFA is enabled across the board? So actually, this is an example of one customer, but you would also be able to get that global view of all of your customers at any given point, to ensure that MFA, what's the status? Are people registered? And what are the different authentication methods as well? Perhaps you are thinking we need to move some of our customers off of phone because it's maybe not the most secure. But that being said, it's giving you that single pane of glass, that single view. You can drill into each customer, but you can also get alerted that if somebody disables MFA at any given point, any reason, you would receive a notification. But we also have an alert that if anybody joins the organization that flies under the radar, you would also receive a notification that that user has joined and they don't have MFA enabled.
Yeah, Marlene, there's a question in the chat from Jonas from I think 10 minutes ago, which really addresses the stuff you're talking about right now, where he is asking, well, does Augmentt also recognize third-party MFA solutions, or does it only work with the Microsoft MFA integration?
That's a great question. So today it's Microsoft or M365 MFA only. That being said, you're not the only one who's asked about Duo. So it is something that we are aggressively investigating, if that's something you use.
Yeah, that was effectively the application Jonas was hinting to. So yeah, great addition. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. So the MFA report, then the security posture report. I was mentioning earlier that the threat report provides that customer, that prospect, of where they stand from a security posture perspective. But what do you need to do to move that 30% security score to 60% or 70%? So what we've done is really take the top 10, 15 security checks, because there are so many different configurations that you can do within M365. We wanted to just take that guesswork out for you. So I'll jump into a customer because we were just looking at healthcare and there were 136 threats, I believe. And really what we've done is say, hey, Mr. Mrs. MSP, here is what we found within the environment that's configured, not configured, partially configured. But these are the top checks. I don't know if you can see my screen here, but that you can do, that you can implement, that you can configure to really ultimately improve that security posture and prevent breaches, which is what we're all kind of here for, is really protecting and securing your customers' M365 accounts, and just really being able to have that peace of mind. And I'll jump into the next report, which is really a quarterly report, so that you can provide that feedback to your customer and everything that you've prevented in the past month and the past 2 months or the past 3 months. So ultimately, the security posture report is to give you that guidance on what you can do very quickly, very easily to improve the posture. And what's really neat is the ability to be able to enable MFA directly through the Augmentt platform. So you don't have to jump back into M365. You can configure right here MFA. You can, a little bit slow here, but you can configure conditional access policies. You can add new conditional access policies and edit conditional access policies.
One of the nice things also with the security policy, being able to look at all the Microsoft security policies on one single pane of glass, you can look across all the customers and see how their score is, so you can identify the customers that need the most work at a glance. And then when you're looking at that, it's like an analyst in a box, because it tells you what are the problems and what do you need to do about it. And fascinating thing is we've had SOC providers where they have teams in the Philippines and in North Africa, where they've now brought those people back into their local geo, in this case, North America, because they can now have administrative level and level 1 people doing all of that analysis and investigation and fixing, because actually the application does it for them. So it just means their cost of operating their SOC is dramatically lower, and it automates that whole research about, okay, across all of my Microsoft security policies, how are my customers rating? Which ones do I need to fix first?
As I was mentioning, this is where, so you'd be able to configure MFA for admins, for users, directly through the portal. We're adding more configuration policies, but ultimately, as we've been talking about, MFA is the starting point. We just want to make it easier for you to not have to jump through hoops, have to log into multiple different portals, clear the cache, log in somewhere else. So you can do that directly through here. We create a kind of like this best practices flow with creating those conditional access policies as well. As I was mentioning, so you've presented the threat report, you've won the business, you've now started, monitoring and managing MFA status. You've made some adjustments. You've based on the security posture report. The summary report is really that QBR, that feather in your cap type of report to show, hey, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, this is all the great work that we've done. This is why, back 3 months ago, we were talking about how important it is to really start locking down and managing and securing your M365 tenant. So this report really just validates, why they're charging you so much, why you've been doing such a great job. And it's really to show everything that you've prevented in the past quarter, the past couple of months, that perhaps there's still some work to be done when it comes to MFA. As we know, MFA isn't easy as just kind of a press or flip of a switch. Sometimes it takes time to roll that out, but ultimately this is to show the customer all the great work that you've been doing, all the risky activity that you've intercepted, and the users and countries, to show that customer and provide that feedback. I'll jump into Engage. I don't know if there were any questions there from the audience.
There was one about how does this compare to Lighthouse? So two things to know with Lighthouse is, one, you have to be on all the premium Microsoft licenses. So that makes it incredibly expensive right out of the gate. The second thing is, at a glance, it's actually very much like Lighthouse, and does all the same things. What we do is we pull all the information out of Microsoft and we put it in a very nice, attractive, and efficient format for you to be able to use it. But with Lighthouse, the problem is you can get it set up initially to about 65 to 70% fairly quickly. And then to get all of the data right, can take literally, we've had experts do this for us multiple times, can take months per tenant to get it actually filled out really, really well. So I would say for an enterprise as an internal solution, it's not bad, where they have people who have lots of time on their hands and they can fool around with it and to get it right. But if you want something that you can have deployed in 10 minutes and up and running and gives you all the information and is incredibly cost effective, then there's no comparison.
So I will jump into Engage, our next product here. So Secure, we've been talking about M365 posture management, being able to sell more services around M365 security. Engage is really was built to help really solve for the L1 help desk. And what we've done with Engage is create a solution where, because a lot of the feedback that we were getting was that an MSP will provide the entire help desk with access to their customers' M365 portal. So you've got L1s, you may have, and we've heard stories about virtual assistants and high school students and interns that get access to the admin portal, sales reps that get access to the admin portal. And then we have stories about, an L3 that's doing password resets. So the goal with Engage is, as I mentioned, let's solve for the L1. Let's offload the password resets, the onboarding, offboarding, provisioning of licenses, deprovisioning of licenses, users, and onboarding and offboarding of users, blocking sign-in, signing it out all apps, to someone that's maybe more or less technical, someone that's more junior on the help desk, not provide everyone with access to the admin portal, because as we know, A, it's probably not best security practice, and B, if you provide someone that is not familiar with the Microsoft portal, could they potentially reset the wrong password, remove the wrong user? So what we've done is built a multi-tenant solution that allows MSPs to provide this to a lower or junior tech within their organization. They may not even be technical. We've heard lots of stories around maybe an office manager being able to help offload some of the ticket and those tickets and that work. So really, we built this to create those efficiencies, optimize security as well as it relates to M365 and least privileged access. We also have this for Google. So if you do have customers where you support Google Workspace, same sort of idea where you could provision, deprovision licenses, users, reset passwords. And each of these options here will provide you with a whole workflow of best practices. So when you are resetting the password, I can show you here. And of course, if you wanted to dig deeper into these products, and if you haven't seen a technical demo, we can always set up a call with an engineer and walk you through it. But essentially, we'll provide you with the best practices to reset that password or add that user or remove that user.
Would you do me a favor and go back to Engage and just show the example of, for example, offboarding an employee, how dead easy it is and how all the workflows are already built into the product?
So right here, you'd be able to go to the settings, and then you can have the options of if you want it to reset the password, if you want it to sign the user out of all applications, or block the user from signing in. So you have options here that you can select, and then you can also give another user access to that individual's email as well, or account. As I was mentioning, we build the best practices, but as you can see, we've built the workflows for each of the processes that we've built. So enabling MFA, we'll walk you through the steps so that we just want to remove the guesswork for you as you're going through this.
Right. And the whole idea is now onboarding, offboarding takes like a minute. And again, you can have a very junior person do it. And MFA takes a second. So we've just, and you could be charging an hour for that onboarding or offboarding to the customer, but you literally just spent 60 seconds doing it. So the idea is really increasing the productivity of your team members and enabling the junior people to be able to do it, because we've built in all the workflows and they just follow the workflows.
Patrick is asking a great question. Are these workflows also customizable to really pinpoint or specialize them for their specific organizational purposes?
At this point, the workflows are fixed and they're based on best practices. So that is the case today. And the whole point is to not allow the junior people to break things.
Would you guys be open to client feedback to integrate more workflows into a single solution, or is that something an implementation consultant could provide?
Yeah, so that actually, if you look at the MFA where you have the configuration engine built in, so that you can actually apply the configuration to your desire, we will be expanding that through the product based on feedback from our partners. All we want is feedback. The more feedback you give us, the better the product we will build you.
I was about to say there's about 4 clients now in the Netherlands, so you guys are still early adopters, and we're really looking forward to your feedback and experiences to really make it stick.
100%.
And of course, to make it stick, it's also very important to have a good pricing pool. So let's discuss that later. But you guys also went into how MSPs could package it towards their clients, of course, with the threat report, the security reports, the client insights. How would you guys advise our listening MSP directors into the client proposition?
Well,
Or are there
Marlene,
any other subjects that you want to address
jump
before we
into-
go to that?
Yeah, to Discover. Marlene, maybe if you could give us a whip through of Discover, and then I can give a couple of examples on pricing.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
great.
want to be cognizant of time.
Yeah, same.
I just realized, but great conversation. So Discover, so I know in Gavin, if you remember his slides, he was talking about shadow IT and risky applications that could potentially house and share sensitive data within the organization. So the majority, most of the tools today that MSPs have in their toolkit focus around discovery of the local hardware infrastructure. So with Discover, this is really about helping MSPs get insight into cloud applications as well as locally installed applications. We have a catalog of over 22,000 applications. So the goal here is, if we want to talk about how you can use this as part of adding value to your customer relationships, onboarding, winning new customers, this could be really used as part of a security audit, an onboarding audit, really to ultimately understand which applications are being used. And the thing is, the question comes up is, well, does my RMM do this? An RMM typically, and they're all quite different, will only look at what's local. And I think it just catches a lot of stuff that really isn't true intelligence, like the calculator app, for example. So you probably don't really care if users are using the calculator app, but you probably care if you've got customers that are using Box and it's not an approved application. You can easily, and this is really what we do, is provide intelligence around who is using those applications and how frequently. So really, it's getting insight into what are the applications being used, will indicate if that application is either or both installed locally or it's within the cloud. You can provide reports. You can provide that report to a customer. If you aren't familiar with the application, I'm guessing most people here on the call is familiar with Box, but if there is an application, because there are so many, we'll provide insight into if it's a file sharing application, is it a collaboration, productivity app, and just provide you some insights. And we've even created risk levels and productivity levels, and you'll be able to provide this report. But also what's great is you can also set up alerts. So if you've provided or you've collected this info, you've talked to your customer, say, we found 80, 100 plus applications, does this make sense? And then moving forward, if you've cleaned up the applications and you have users start to access maybe unapproved, unknown, risky applications, you'll be able to receive a notification. So it's really, again, just adding to the conversation, adding to the value with your existing relationships, because as we know, as we talk about, your customers' users are using applications every day. And they're using not only just SharePoint M365, there's a lot others. So which applications are flying under the radar that could compromise your customer security? Because if Box has a breach and you are unaware that you've got users using Box, how do you provide that feedback to your customer? So you'd be able to see, hey, why are people using Box? Why are they not using SharePoint? Do we need to take a look at licenses? And even as Gavin mentioned, perhaps they used to use Box and maybe they moved to another file sharing application. And you see that perhaps maybe they're still paying for licenses. So I think every customer would love to say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You can help me save some money as well on our subscription. So there's a lot of different angles with SaaS application discovery, but one is security. So are your customers, users using approved applications? B, are they maybe paying for applications they're no longer using? And then C, you can get these alerts and notifications on a daily basis if people start accessing restricted applications, and then you can go back to your customers as part of your monthly or quarterly meetings to discuss, next steps.
Marlene, I'd also add that if the customer internally does security training for their employees, or you provide security training for your customers, this is critical for you to have. You've got to measure so you can manage. So you need to have this data so you can understand which employees are using unapproved applications or unsecure applications. So again, somebody just asked, like GDPR, if there are applications that are not approved or not certified, then you know that those applications are being used, and you know which employees you have to train not to use the wrong applications, but to use the right applications. So
yeah, Gavin, I think this is also a nice bridge to maybe the data protection insurance you indicated also at the event. Of course, in Europe, we have more of a, let's say, GDPR compliance. Would that be a policy that can become a workflow in Augmentt if enough European companies address it?
It will absolutely become a workflow in Augmentt for GDPR. GDPR is critical. SOC 2, ISO, all of these, where we'll be able to understand which applications, we'll be able to identify applications that are not compliant for those regulations or policies.
Yeah, perfect.
And then, so you'll be able to see, okay, this guy's in healthcare, and these applications are not compliant for that industry, or financial services, or so it'll be like super, and then you'll be able to block them within the application.
Yeah, great. I think this also directly answers Olaf's question in relation to the other alerts and actions that might be needed.
Are there questions?
Yeah, Patrick is opening up the stage with, is it possible to add custom or maybe unknown applications?
Absolutely. We recognize everything. So as much as we categorize 22,000, you can modify those categorizations that are already in ours. You can go in and modify them, and Facebook might be an approved application for the marketing department, but not the engineering department, as an example. Or one department might use Google and the other department might use Microsoft. So you want to be able to, so you can go in and do all those changes. But yes, any application that's in use, we will discover. You will see it come up on your dashboard, on the client's dashboard, as an unknown application. And then you can actually go in and modify it, give it a name, give it a risk category, productivity category, etc. And then you'll be monitoring all the people using that application. So absolutely, any application, desktop or cloud, we will pick up. Oh, well, actually, that's a really great question. Can we jump to the admin page? So we actually have links. So if there's something that you don't, if there's an advanced functionality in Engage that is not in Engage, but you can do in the Microsoft portal, we'll actually take you directly to that link in the Microsoft portal. So you don't have to go searching for how do I, where do I find this specialties thing I want to do? So yes, it does connect you right into the exact place you want to go in the Microsoft portal to do an advanced task that we may not do in Engage. Portland is offering 100 free license of Discover. So you can use those any way you like. Those are yours. You can move them from customer to customer to customer. They're yours, no strings attached. And we're excited to get everybody using the product. And then you'll also get, you'll be able to do Microsoft threat reports. You'll get some free prospecting license of Secure and Engage. You'll get full NFR licenses for yourself internally. You'll get access to Augmentt Academy, which is a full sales and marketing portal. We have all the sales and marketing and pricing. And then we are month to month from a subscription basis. So we're not locking you into a 1-year contract or a 5-year or a 3-year or whatever. It's month to month. Like I love to say that if you don't like us after 3 months, tell us to jump in the lake and we will jump in the lake. And we want to earn your business every single month. The pricing for, so you try the product, you have your 100 free licenses, you like it. Then what we do is we do a site license price, which is I'm sorry, Martin, do you know the euro number?
It's 200 euros, I think.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
200 euros and that gives you a site license, which allows you to manage up to 2,500 seats. And that's per module. And you can move those seats around between customers. We don't care. You know, we're not restricting you. Yes, 200 euros per month. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an astonishing offer, Gavin. That's why everybody is so surprised. But I think it's a positive surprise.
Well, the beauty of this is if you're going to save, you're going to like triple your technician's productivity. You're going to dramatically improve your security practice because you'll be proactive and manage in your M365 security. You'll be getting, notifications, escalations, centrally manage everything. Like the productivity level is going to go so far up. You have the sales tool with the Microsoft Threat Report for free, unlimited, every prospect in the world. We want to enable you to go out and win more business. And what our model is that we will be bringing out premium functionality. This is going to be very advanced automation. So, we want to help you go from 600 seats per tech to 2,000 seats per tech and really drive up your profitability. And what we will be doing is charging additional amounts on a per seat basis for the premium functionality. Having said that, anybody who's a partner with Augmentt will get that increased functionality for free. So we will not charge you the premium per seat pricing. If anybody who's a member, by the time this stuff comes out, partner with Augmentt will get it for free. So we want to dominate the market for MSPs doing SaaS security and SaaS management. We want to help you grow. Yes, it's stackable. So yes,
I got this.
We're here to help you in any way we possibly can. We're all about channel enablement. We want to make you successful. We want to help you grow your security practice. We want to help you double, triple, quadruple your tech's productivity levels and improve your security services to your end customers. So we're always available. I'm co-founder and chairman, and you can call me, email me anytime. You can get Marlene anytime. You can get Derek, our CEO, anytime. You can go to that link below, or you can call Martin or Jessica and get your 100 free licenses. Again, no strings attached. We'd love to have you on board. We'd love to prove ourselves to you and help you improve your business.